Yes, sir.
Call this meeting to order. Tuesday, January 2nd, about 9:06 or 7, whatever it is. We'll do the pledge first. Raymond, you want to lead us in the pledge?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
John, you want to lead us in prayer today?
Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering us together today, Lord. We ask their presence with us as we conduct our business for the Nelson County citizens. Father, we pray that each and everything that we do, each vote that we take would bring honor and glory to you and to them in doing that business. We ask these things in Christ's holy name. Amen.
Amen.
New Year's, I didn't really do a community showcase. I didn't invite anybody, so skip those two. Unless I missed anything. I didn't miss anything, did I? I don't think. No achievements. Let's go to the approval of the minutes. Everybody got those?
Motion to approve the minutes.
The motion from Adam to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second by John. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bills and transfers approval.
I need to add two.
Rhonda, you added something?
Yeah,
sorry.
it's not an additional bills list, but I do need to add two bills that are not on the list that you were given. They're both for ARPA funds. One's to North Nelson Water for the Louisville Water Project. That total is $179,665.45. And then I have another one for Kiefer's Contracting for the Wycliffe Road Water Project for $32,644.98.
What is the North Nelson?
That's the
Is that for pipe
That's where
or?
we are reimbursing them for their, we've set aside $3 million of ARPA
Yeah.
funds to help with that project to bring the Louisville water to Bardstown.
Okay.
These are both pre-approved projects, but these invoices were approved late, and I just want to go ahead and
That
get
one
them
you
paid.
said that was for what road?
Wycliffe,
Wycliffe?
You just finished that project, didn't you?
is wrapping up. Yeah, Brad reviewed both of these and approved them.
Yeah.
I didn't get them on the list in time.
Brad Spalding, just so everybody know, he had a death in the family and he's out today, so he usually oversees a lot of these projects. John, he probably sent them to you too, didn't he?
Yes.
I'll make the motion we approve the bills and transfers with the two additional bills.
The motion from John,
I'll second it.
second by Keith. Any more discussion? There is one on there I was going to ask Rhonda myself that I missed. There are actually two of them, those government IT fees, $7,807. Is that just a license and this for what? Is this for firewalls?
That's the email licenses for each person who has an email address. That's a one-year license.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right, Brad?
Yes.
One-year license for the new .gov email addresses.
And that's an annual
for
fee?
120, yes. For 128 users at this point.
What do they do for us?
Secure your email.
We're hoping to become, a little more.
I mean, is that the purpose of it, to make it
Correct.
secure? They got firewalls built in them and everything?
Yes.
I know that's what the intention was originally, but is that a guaranteed deal?
Yes,
What if it happens and it breaks through? Are they liable for that?
they are.
Will we get our money back?
Our money? Well, we don't want our money back. We want our information. That's what we want.
Yeah, but I mean, if they breach the contract, I'm like, Tim.
I mean, I just wondered.
Well, it's with Microsoft. This is with Microsoft government. You know, it's not
Yeah.
a company.
But
or
let's say
a
if it
small company.
breaks through and somebody, we lose our information, Is it some kind of package that they secure that, and
Yeah.
they help us go after it?
Yes, and they keep backups of everything for us,
Yeah.
secured backups.
So before this thing cost us nothing?
Well, no, hold on. Because that's not accurate.
No, we
Your
are.
email cost you nothing. But if you were using a free email address, like a Google or a Yahoo, then your information is what it costs you. So if you have a free email address, that is not secure. It is only as secure as Google or Yahoo sees fit to secure it, because your data is now the consumer good for that free email address when you use those things. And the reason that we decided that it would be better to go with the .gov website and the .gov email addresses is because that information that is exchanged for the county business should not be going through a free email server. Like, I pay for mine, I pay $70 a year for mine through StartMail, and it's still not as good as the .gov email address, but it's better than a free one. And so we really felt like it was a bad idea to be sending the information, the county government information, via free email servers.
When you say we, who's we?
Well, Brad and I and Jeff sit down and talked about it and decided that it was a good idea to not do that. And it came out of when the conversation started after Norton Healthcare had their big breach, and they locked them out of their information, and it cost them a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of patient
Well, a lot of
issues.
people lost their personal
Right,
information.
a lot of people had to go in and secure stuff, and
Well, and
so.
it's one thing if we lose emails in our own personal email that we're emailing to our friends or family or whatever, but we're transacting government business daily with a lot of sensitive information that, needed to be kept, confidential.
Now, the judge email, as I understand it, Rhonda's email, Carol's email, those were done through bardstown.com, and so that was different. They had those set up some years back, but this will also allow everybody who needed a county email address to have a very similar email, whatever their office is. Help me out, Brad, what is it,
Well, like
Nelson?
for the dispatchers.
Right, well, whatever it is, nelsonky.gov or whatever
Right.
that email address looks out to be, district5@nelsonky.gov.
And to give you an example, Keith, one of the problems that dispatch was having was a lot of times they'll have to, if they're trying to locate someone through 911 or in any kind of emergency situation, they have to get
So the other
they have to
day,
get a warrant first.
so we have to get a warrant for AMTT to let us track something. And the other part of that is that when the city's server goes down, we were not able to send out the paging group to our responders, let them know what they have going on. So like our pursuit last night, we wouldn't be able to send that out to the command staff to let them know we got a pursuit going on through Nelson County, because if that system was down through the city, it affected our business in trying to get them the information they needed. So that's another reason that the Gov email is made a lot better. And we had to switch from the city server to our own redundant server with Gary to set up a separate whole email to make that system work again, so.
But one of the things was once they got that warrant to try to ping a cell phone to try to locate that, when you would do that, and the dispatchers would call back to AT&T or Verizon or whoever, when they were emailing back and forth, it was a Gmail, it was bradmetcalf@gmail.com. Well, they're like, well, this could be anybody. Well, they look at that now and they see NelsonCountyKY.gov, they know that's a certified email coming from a government agency, and it's sped that up quite a bit.
Well, that 128 beside, is that how many you got?
It's 128 users, yeah.
I just want to bring it up for discussion because it's good for us, me,
Yeah, I got educated on it.
It is a lot of money, but I tell you, I think it's well worth it on that
It's
end. of it.
$6 a month is what it is.
Lear, Jeff, you got any comments on that?
It's the right thing to do. It's the cost of doing business in 2024, guys.
All right, and the second thing that I want to ask Ron about is the Medicaid assessment fee, provider fee. How often does that hit us?
We pay that monthly.
That's a
And
monthly
the fee
every
that
month.
We pay back in order to get additional Medicaid monies that have been coming to the county for 2 years now. So monthly, we get probably $126,000 additional in Medicaid monies. That was something that Joe Pruitt worked on
Yeah.
fervently when he was here. And just part of receiving that money, we pay a fee back to the state in order to process those monies to us. So we're receiving about $125 a month and paying out $8,400.
And before, until they passed that new, I guess, rule of law that Joe helped with, whatever the company that was, Joey went through that.
Right.
He helped us secure this, and he got some laws and rules changed, so I just want to recognize Joey for that, because the reason I brought that up, that he's not here today, him and Eve both have retired officially, December 31st, doesn't want to know that. But he gave him credit for helping us secure this extra funding through him, and there was a group of them that's been working on that for some time, so. Okay, I got who made the first motion? John? You did? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Remember, you gotta give Jeff a couple seconds.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Motion carries.
We always did.
Public comment, I've got, let's see here, I think I got Mr. Nelson on here. Jim Nelson?
Yes, sir.
You want to come up here, please, sir, and raise your right hand. I might have to swear you in.
All right.
But Jim Nelson is wanting to talk, so you got the floor, sir.
All right.
No, I don't need to.
I swear in? All right. I always get a lot of swearing anyway, so that's all right. So, no, listen, my name is Jim Nelson. I live at 1115 Third Creek in Boston, Kentucky. And I'm here today to talk to you in support of a presentation that was given at the last fiscal court meeting by the sheriff, and that was with the RAP organization. And in particular, they were talking about the BOLO demonstration, if you remember that. It was a non-lethal method by which they were able to restrain an individual, especially an individual in need or in distress. And so therefore, they added an increased level of safety for not only the individual, but also for the police officers as well. After that, the following day, I was invited to a demonstration with the RAP, but Keith were there, I know, and had an opportunity to see some of their virtual reality threat assessment capabilities, what they were trying to do. So I am actually very impressed with what I saw on that day. A little bit about myself. My background is I'm a airline pilot, instructor, and simulator. I run a multi-million-dollar simulator in the Boeing 757-767. And a lot of times I take new pilots or transitioning pilots into an airplane that they've never flown before. And because of the level of simulation that we have there, we're able to put them through a whole myriad of situations, either minor systems failures or even some catastrophic ones, both environmental as well. And it's only through the repetition, through being able to be exposed to those environments, to be exposed to those decision-making skills, that they're able to get the experience. And as we all know, experience means better quality of enforcement, also better outcomes, as we call courses of action. So with that in mind, looking at the RAP system that was presented down through there, very impressive in the fact that it was immersive. VR capability, it had sound, it had sight, it had a 360-degree view. A lot of the scenarios were, everything was scenario driven, i.e. that you could go from a normal traffic stop to perhaps an individual that's barricaded in a structure. Also the homeless encampments, things of that nature. A lot of times that people are going to end up rolling up to the first time. And as an initial contact with people or persons in distress or in need, it really can make the difference between a positive outcome or a negative outcome, and through that as well. The key to this training that I was really impressed with is the fact that it was interactive. A lot of times in the older transition training that we had in the Air Force, things of that nature, is that you had one scenario, 3 possible outcomes. You didn't know what the outcome was until the operator hit play, and then you got what was coming down the line. The interactive capability, though, of this is being able to change things as you go. So there's a whole myriad of different possible outcomes that work through this. And again, getting more in-face opportunity to these environments and stuff like that is only going to make for a better quality outcome. Varying levels of escalation can also vary those differing outcomes. It's scalable. Right now, it's a one-on-one kind of an individual where you have one person that's immersed and then you have a controller operating it. There's also a scalability where that ability is going to be able to bring in 2 or 3 more other people. So now you create an opportunity of being able, not just having a variable outcomes, but also being able to coordinate an effective response amongst other individuals on the scene. And then last and foremost, really the ability to review and replay it. Self-evaluation of the introduction of possible other techniques and situations that would work, as well as implication of best practices. Currently, the status, from what I understand from Tony, I think his name was, that was over there, is that there's certainly 7 out of 120 counties within the state of Kentucky that are currently using this. This is not a single tool for a single department. This is something that's scalable. It has an interagency all over it. It's going to be able to, I think, utilize not just interagency, but having access to it, but interagency dependence and co-training as it goes through that. This is not just an initial training opportunity, but it's also recurrent qualification for that. Joint training, and not just between the county, but also for the cities in and around for themselves. I also have here some of the current things that are facing in the state of Kentucky is the SROs. I know that they're way behind. They have a 120-hour training requirement, and even though I'm not sure what the requirements are for the SROs, but to be able to bring them in and fold them into an interactive training scenario such as this is only going to increase their training and response. This is also possible for first responders, because you never know what you're going to roll up into. So whether it's going to be an EMS, fire, or police, or even a social worker event, that comes into there. This has an opportunity for them as well to be able to develop some necessary skill sets. So the recommendation in support of this is something that's obviously it's bigger than the county, bigger than the city itself. And it's something that needs to be involved with other folks. Interagency, whether it's going to be a regional, i.e. within the Hardin County of the Narcotics Task Force, or other agencies around through there, but this is something that needs to be looked at and coordinated together as something that's going to be effective for the area. Multiple civic organizations for support, the standard stuff around for those. It would be a wonderful opportunity for them to be able to participate and add to the community, as well as the multiple corporate partners, of which we already have here, and I'm sure as well they're looking for opportunities to enrich and enhance our community. That's all I have, sir. Any questions?
It's very well spoken. We met with, or I did, after the last fiscal court meeting. I don't know who was up there with me. Was you still here, Keith, for a while? Mm-hmm. The guys that did all that.
I was up there too.
Jim, you was up here, and then Ron was there for a little bit, I think, and then just having some further one-on-one discussion with them, and some of the services they provided, and then how those clips work, how fast you can read all those clips and things. It's pretty amazing, really, in that little cartridge what it can do. It's just, so the court it's not on the agenda today, but I'll probably bring it up for further discussion at the next meeting, and then that was well taken. I think I know you got a good background in all this things. So, anybody got any questions for Jim here? Since he was there, but you was there, you actually went out there and demonstrated.
Yes, it was interesting just to be able to be not ever involved in that kind of situation, but being put on the first line. And then
you didn't get to go, did you?
I did not.
Keith, you went.
I did go.
Yeah.
I got to talk a little girl off the bridge.
There you go.
Yeah. Did they ban you or anything?
No, he said he almost let her jump in. I said, oh, I'm so glad you did. And I probably jumped over there and tried to save her. It was pretty rude.
You know what really impressed me about it, there's a lot of stuff that's good, but I'm just saying what stuck in my mind is because I'm not a police officer by no means, or even firefighters, I think it can be used for a lot of other services, like you said, basically, but.
Can it be, Raymond? Can that thing be used for like Jim said, the ambulance and the fire department? And
I think it can be integrated into that.
Or is it just your tool?
I believe they can be integrated.
That'd be something you could check
You would
into.
have to just pay the phase of adding EMS or things like that.
Yeah. And my point from when I mentioned that, Keith, is really as an initial assessment, as people roll up into, and you know what the call is, but you don't know what you're really dealing with. And so being able to have that interactive, then can determine whether or not fire, police, et cetera, would be more appropriate to roll in on something like that. So it's an initial assessment, which is really paramount in any situation to make sure you have a viable, positive outcome.
You know what, one of the things also is this, because I guess when you're in that situation, and if you got the film of it all, whatever, and they'll give you a bunch of free bands and guns and whatever, because they want that knowledge, and they put that back in their program. So next week they may be having one local to show in the whole world, you know, and it's pretty neat how they do that. In all the new, I guess anything that's popping up, they can use that in their video training sessions. But anyway, thank you, Jim.
In summation, again, I rise to support of all this to make sure that it's something that's talked about at the court level as well as through other agencies around to support this. So it's going to be a community effort to be able to support this kind of operation plan.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Treasurer's report, Rhonda.
I don't have anything other than second reading on the budget amendment that we passed a couple of meetings ago. The state reviewed and approved it, so I just asked for second reading.
And I don't have it with me, but y'all don't always.
I've got a copy from here.
Yeah, you don't mind let me have that. I don't know why I missed it, but. Yeah, we don't have it. Y'all had
But it hasn't changed.
I'm sorry, there were no changes
No
between
changes.
first and second.
yeah, because I already signed it, this is what y'all approved last.
So we just need a motion.
Make a motion to approve second reading.
You good with it?
Yeah.
Keith, you ready?
Yes.
Yeah. Any motion to approve the second reading?
I make a motion.
Motion by Adam,
I'll second.
second by John. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Jeff, was that you?
Yeah, he got it.
That's up to, oh, she gets it. Somebody get it. Brad Metcalf, we're gonna talk about, well, let's just go ahead and do the parking ordinance. Just explain that in better detail.
All right,
Please,
so
sir.
this came forward as a request from the sheriff's department. We have a parking or impound ordinance already on the books. We adopted it in 1981. But since 81, the law was changed to require the ordinance to incorporate a hearing board to hear any appeals. So if someone had their car impounded and they wanted to appeal that, right now we don't have an appeal board set up, so there's no way for them to appeal anything that was impounded. So that's pretty much all this does. It sets up the board. It does create a new 3-person board. The judge will appoint the 3 members. The court will approve them just like you would in any other board. They're unpaid, they're volunteer, and then they would just sit to hear the validity of the impoundment of somebody's car and then make a determination of whether or not it was valid or not. That's it. So other than that, it's pretty much incorporated and updated the original language that was already in the ordinance from 81.
It's been outdated for a long time. We're trying to clean up stuff. But the board, once we pass the first reading, then we'll come back and do the second reading.
Yes.
You've reviewed it.
I will review some of it.
And if we need to change anything in the second reading, we can do so.
Yes.
And then after that, then I'll send you some names. We'll appoint a board after this is done.
And I sent this over to the sheriff's office and to their personnel to let them look at it.
All this, and you good with all this stuff? Yeah, it keeps y'all, I guess it keeps everybody in checks and balances, so.
Well, I did have one question, because I know on other boards, we've made an effort to not have people rotate off all at the same time. And this seems to say that there'll be 2-year appointments for all 3 of them, beginning at the appointment So maybe if we could figure out how to stagger
I
that.
can stagger it
So they
in
don't-
2
yeah.
or 3 years. And
So
What
they,
you have,
yeah.
what page you on there?
Page 5, the hearing board created, Article B. And it just about, if we appoint them all three at the same time and they're all 2-year terms, they'll all rotate off at the same time, so you'll have nobody on there that was on there before.
Well, they could rotate off or be back on it, right?
They could. The only reason we do that is for institutional knowledge
Sure.
and things, so
Yeah.
that we don't lose it all. I'll put that in. We'll
So
change
maybe
that
figure
to
out
3.
stagger and 1 or 2 of them.
We've done that before.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
cut that up.
Question, Randy. How many times have you had the problem with this? I know it's required by law, but have you ever had much of a headache with
We've
this?
had one within the last 6 months.
So 1 or 2 a year is about all you got?
We don't impound a whole lot of cars, but when we do, I'd rather be covered and have a procedure and a standard
Yeah, I understand.
on having a process.
And now it's required by law.
Yeah.
Right, so we need to, yeah. So I'll make the motion that we approve the impound ordinance, I'm sorry, it's not the impound ordinance, authorizing establishing regulations, restrictions, limits on speed limits, stopping, parking, and operation of vehicle on county roads on the first reading.
Second.
Motion by John, second by Adam. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Brad, we got any discussion on any kind of grants coming up? We're gonna be applying for some stuff. We're still waiting on some more. The governor on his Zooms, we had quite a few possibilities coming down the pike.
We do. It opened up and there's a new, term right now that's up from now until April 1st for new grants this year. So we'll start going through those and see what new grants we can apply for.
Jailer's report.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Currently, right now, we have 235 inmates total, 41 are state, 94 is county. State inmate revenue per day, $1,448.94. Average of $43,468.20 on monthly revenue. 63 is Waiting Circuit Court, 25 is District Court. Recidivism rate 73.77%. Average length of stay 86 days. Felony average length 108. Misdemeanor 50. Overpopulated by 32.35%. Males is 25.53%. And females is 112.5%. We're still on November's hours. Haven't got December's hours done, but we're at 19,787 for a total of $395,740 of labor savings. And just a note at the bottom, we'll be turning over approximately $97,065.65 back over to fiscal court for phone commissions, reimbursement for the work program, and canteen reimbursement. And that's all I got.
Any questions from Justin? We met I guess my staff, and Justin, we all met last week, and reviewing, because it's the first year we've had the work inmate program, well, since I've been in office in this court. Of course, Justin, we all worked together on that, so and Brad and John, we're trying to make sure we're gonna tweak anything going forward, so we can hopefully do even a better job and get more people out. Because there's just a lot of community projects that we can continue to do and add on to it at very limited cost. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that, and we'll keep updating to the court so y'all know what's going on with that program. Sean, on dispatch report, please.
A couple things in dispatch. We're starting our in-service training for 2024. Everybody's been placed in a class or several classes with the state. We are fully staffed with our full-time staff. We're adding 2 new part-timers today. I have Haley Krebs and Dylan Walter with me today. It's their orientation day, so I told them we're going to come to fiscal court with me this morning, kind of see how that process works. They're going to be in training for the next 14 weeks through dispatch, and then ultimately they'll have to go to Richmond for the Department of Criminal Justice training once we get them scheduled for that, for additional 4 weeks of training with them. We've got the record agreements back. I'm going to give those to Brad this morning. The only one we don't have is from Flash Record Service, and I know Flash is kind of, he's in Louisville a lot, but we've got all their other record agreements, and we kept the insurance rate at what we decided on while we were on the 911 board, and they've all sent in their forms, and they comply with that amount we set it at. Other than that, not really a whole lot else, but a couple things I'll get with Brad on that we're looking to do in dispatch, and our grant windows get ready to open up starting in March. Maybe some potential upgrades for consoles and things like that, but I'll get with him on that and see how we want to approach that going into 2024, but that's pretty much it.
You want to introduce, you want to stand up, young lady? What's your name?
Haley Krebs,
And so you're the new, what's your title?
part-time telecommunications.
Okay. And you started, you're going to start when?
Today is my first
Today's
day,
your first
actually.
Glad to have you. And young man?
Dylan Walter, part-time.
Excuse me?
Dylan Walter, part-time telecommunicator.
Dylan Walter?
Yes.
Okay. Good to have y'all.
Welcome aboard.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
One last thing, Judge, I did hand out to the magistrates the numbers for dispatch for last year. What you'll see at the top of that is the 46,000 calls for service. Those are actual calls that we took last year that actually sent our responders on. It's broken down by department, EMS, PD, SO. SO's number was really high compared to the previous year.
What's that so mean?
Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, make sure you tell us all these numbers, please.
Sorry, Judge. But it's, it just to show you the amount of calls that we take that we actually send our responders out on. Now, that does not include the total number of calls from last year. We're still waiting to get that number, but those are the actual calls for service. And to have 46,000 calls, when you look at what our population is in Nelson County, that's almost 1 call per household in Nelson County. That's a lot.
1 call per person.
Per person, yeah. So, and I looked for that number to go up again this year. It went up from about 42,000 last year to 46,000 this year. So I look for that to continue to increase, and again, it's going to be probably part of the argument for adding a couple, at least 1 or 2 full-time staff to the dispatch center to offset some of these call volumes that we're having.
These are the true emergency calls.
Yes, those are the actual true emergency calls.
Non-emergency calls, you talking about that you take?
Yes. So this is emergent and non-emergent, but what I say is we took total calls, that number's probably somewhere around 70-some thousand. Last year it was 72,000, so I'm gonna say, given the increase of about 6,000 total calls for service, that number probably goes up to close to 80,000 this year. So we're still waiting to get those numbers together, but it just shows you the amount of times that the phones are ringing in dispatch. And even when you got 3 full-timers in there working and maybe a part-timer, it's overwhelming at times. And then if you look at the subsequent pages, it breaks down what calls that we had and how many times we had those type of calls.
You had 2,200 hang-ups, what's that mean?
That means people call into dispatch and they realize they've dialed 911, they hang up. So that's 2,200 times that dispatch has to call that number back to make contact, to make sure that nothing's actually going on at that address.
And they automatically have to call, or you should.
Automatically, every single time.
Call back.
Every single
What about
time.
the open line, what's that mean?
Open line means that if we transfer a call to a different county, that's still a call that came into Nelson County. We just transferred that call to a different county. And sometimes they don't hang up and things like that, so we have to, it's a different call, whatever.
So if I call non-emergencies, they go to you?
It does.
That's included in this number?
The non-emergent calls are not.
Not in this number, so if I call you, let's see, I'm gonna start me a big bonfire. Where's that at? Control burn.
There should be control burn on there.
You got 1,358 calls.
Yep.
So is that included in this?
Yes,
46,000?
the back page is just the breakdowns of the calls. The front page is the total number of calls for each department.
You've got a lot of data here. Your computer do this for you?
Correct, our tax system does it. I don't have the capability or the technology to do that in my head.
That's a whole lot of data. I mean, it really is. It's amazing, to be honest about it.
What's your highest call on here?
Highest call number, I can't tell you, you got the report there.
Traffic stops are 5,500.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Maybe they're done too many of them.
Maybe trying.
Paper service,
That's a good report, Sean, thank you. And I know I haven't been able to sit down and meet with you since we've taken that over, but we will soon. I've got some New Year's resolutions I'm writing as I go. Anybody got any questions for Sean? EMS, Michael's not here. He's actually sick today. He texted me and going to the doctor. I hope he's not going to the hospital, but he didn't send anybody a report or anything, did he? He sent me a text this morning and he's out, so hopefully you get him straightened back out. EMA and fire report, Brad Metcalf.
No report, so.
If it's no report, that mean you haven't been doing anything, or what's the verdict there?
Not yet.
Huh?
Not yet.
Nothing to report, he said. Means everything's going smooth.
Brad Spalding's not here. Recreation's really a nothing.
Nothing really to report. There's just signups going on for spring sports.
You already started signups.
Yes.
One thing on that recreation, we'll be meeting again since it's new year, kind of get the recreation committee. Try to move forward with some of those projects we want to do out there. When we start our new budget process, if Rhonda has any money left over, we need to do some things out there. And I told y'all before, we had over 1,000 kids really in the baseball, and t-ball, and softball, and no place for them all to go. So we got to really work on that. And Brad's not here again. John, do you have his road department report?
Yes, sir. The road department, they've been putting DGA on shoulders of the roads. That's
What's DJ?
DGA, disc grade aggregate.
We'll make sure everybody knows.
Yep, on roads that were previous resurfaced. And also, they've been removing dead and leaning trees on roads and right-of-ways. They did Clarktown Road, Hoss Simpson, and D Head. They sent 3 guys to help with the Feeding America, and they repaired pipe at Dean Watts Park.
Tree program is still going. They're still using that as much as possible.
Yes.
Kind of let everybody know we need a chipper.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, any progress on that? Have we gotten a bid or?
No, we haven't even, I don't think we're gonna be searching, we're gonna do some new budget. The chipper's probably over $100,000, but
It might say
save
that where
the
it
county
is.
and so much time on these trucks, and this tree program is really, it's really going well, and they're really doing a good job at it, and cleaning up a lot of right-of-ways and safety. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, when these ash trees down on the right-of-ways everywhere, and it's a safety thing. It'll take one time, you can be right 1,000 times, be wrong one time, and you know what happens, so. That's something we really gotta look at it, equipment-wise. John, landfill?
So garbage pickup this week is a day behind. And also after last board meeting, we had an engine go out on our garbage truck 416. So we took that to Cummins Sales and Service to get rebuilt. And that was, we got an estimate for $18,464. So it's a lot of money to get fixed. We needed to pick up garbage.
Did y'all get that?
How old is that truck?
Probably 10 years. Probably more than that. It's
I apologize for that, I got that. I'll blame that on Ron for current right here.
It's 10 years old, it's got a lot of miles on it.
mm-hmm.
That
But-
price, do we need to go ahead and approve that to fiscal court? Technically, I don't have to.
No.
$18,000, I want everybody to know that. So we thought it was gonna be higher.
We thought it was gonna be higher, so,
They're gonna rebuild the engine.
yes.
They got a time frame on you?
Couple weeks.
Couple weeks, okay.
They're trying to get it in, should get in, we took it up there last week, should get it started on it this week and several
But
weeks.
you have backup trucks for that.
We're working on it, so. Last week we got by, it was,
Everybody's garbage gonna get picked up.
it picked up
I
last
called
week.
Judge Daugherty in Marion County when John sent me that out, and I asked him if he had a couple extra backups. We only had 2 backups. He uses all of them during this time of year, and then, so David, let us, I guess, borrow a truck, technically we leased a truck, I guess we installed it, make it legal. And, you know, if we have to use it or not.
We didn't have to use it yet. It was one of those, just in case we needed it, and they were out, they were not picking up garbage Tuesday, and we weren't picking up garbage Tuesday. And so they said, look, guys, if you guys need it that day, we'll just run it over to you, because they come over 3 times a day anyway, so just in case, so we got lucky, didn't need it. but
Yeah,
it's
so we
very-
got it, anyway, they was good, you know, neighbors to help out.
Very good.
Cousins, what you call them?
Yep, first cousin.
Cousins.
Huh?
He's first cousin. Anything joins Nelson County, they're our first cousins.
So that's good when they helped us out, because we had another truck go down or something, we had it there, that's the main reason for it. Go ahead, John.
And that's all I have for landfill and solid waste.
And you're gonna have the, when you think the final inspection's gonna be done?
So we had our final on-site inspection for the landfill, and everything went good with that. So now what we have to do is a QA/QC report, all the documents showing everything, meets specifications, stuff like that. So hopefully get that reviewed in the next couple weeks. So once we get that reviewed, that's our last check, we're done, ready for garbage.
I'm coming out and see you today, we're gonna do a tour.
Yeah.
Is that all right with you?
Yes, sir. If anybody else will stop by anytime.
You gonna change clothes?
Maybe. If I have to ride this truck on the old wheel. I don't have my truck. My truck's in the shop, so what am I gonna drive? All right, anything on the next engineer report?
Yes.
Open the bids on Corbin's?
Open bids for Corbin's Friday.
Go
So
ahead.
we had, that was for the Justice Center flooring. The bid from Corbin's Flooring was $237,464. $237,464. So, and that is reimbursed.
Now,
So-
I need a motion to accept this bid based on if we get the reimbursement from.
Contingent on AOC approval and agreement to reimburse,
Is that the entire building?
pretty much.
It basically is, but, there's some places in there that wouldn't, I haven't really went up there. It's, like I said, we talked about earlier, it's over 20 years old now, right?
Yes.
Some parts get a lot more wear and tear than others, of course, but
What's the material?
So you have some carpet tile and some vinyl.
they use mostly carpet, they use the squares, the big plates.
Kind of more industrial carpet squares. And then like something like the break room, stuff like that is vinyl tile.
If they do carpet, in today's world, something that big, and it's getting more common, and I've done a lot of building, we use I never use the squares, it's easy to pop, they actually glue it down, start stretching it, and then you glue it down, and you can replace pieces as it gets wore out or tore or stained or whatever.
It's got some downfalls to it too, though. Them corners go up on there a lot. on there.
Yeah, like I said, I've never really used them yet, but, I need a motion to accept this.
And it's 100% reimbursable from who?
AOC.
The administrative office of the court, they reimburse.
If approved, now, we haven't got that approved. Once she sent it to them, we're assuming they're gonna approve it. But we will make sure in that motion that we're not gonna pay for it.
Yeah, I would make the
Local.
motion under the condition that it is
Yes.
reimbursable.
So you gonna make a motion?
Yes. I'll make the motion under the condition that the money's reimbursable,
What's your motion state?
to accept the bid.
Okay?
I'll second that.
The motion by Adam, second by Keith. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I still think that's a lot of money for a floor.
It's high. Flooring's high.
Big building. Anything else, John?
And that's all I have today.
I'm gonna go to Magistrate Lear. We're gonna talk about phones and,
Yes, I'm gonna let Brad handle this discussion, y'all can hear him better. But we've talked about it, I agree with what he's Hopefully it will be my station.
All right, you should have two pieces. The first one's got it's a marked up one from last week. It's got 2 yellow spots on it.
Hang on, Brad, hold on a minute. I emailed them, I don't know if you got this or not.
Yes, they got this.
Everybody's got this total package. It gives you a big breakdown of a lot of stuff in here.
So I gave you the top notes, so you've got the first 4 pages of that. The rest of it's kind of a brochure. So we actually went back through and narrowed the numbers down even more. Originally, we thought it was going to be $3,200 a month. We actually found some data storage stuff that they had in there that was a line item that we didn't really need, so we carved that out too. So it's actually got it down to $23.89 a month, which is $28,600 a year, which is less than our current spend of $109,500. Now, part of that's going to be eaten back up in the first year. We've got $25,000 in installation, training, all that will be in the initial year, but then every year after that, we'll save $80,915. We'll save $50,000 the first year. So, at the very bottom of the page, I've altered that to be $83,923 in anticipated savings moving forward with this. And this will be a much, much better phone system for the county. It will integrate all county departments together to where that we can all call each other. We'll have voicemails. We'll have everything that most basic offices have now that we've never had in the past. We'll also, included in this, we'll have some, I have on here a little bit of internet savings, but we'll probably have to get a little bit of new equipment, some new routers, some new switches, things like that. So that's probably negligible, honestly. It's probably a wash, but we will have fiber internet to just about everywhere that the city will start, that the city services it. So
Can you text on these lines?
text? What do you mean? No, these are hard lines.
Yeah.
These are our office phones.
They're landlines, so you can't text them.
No. Now, one thing that this does do, though, it does help, like, say, somebody like a code enforcement or planning and zoning, and say that they're out inspecting something out in the field, they can roll their phone, their office phone, to their cell phone. And if they want to, they can answer that out in the field. It'll roll through their cell phone, so it's kind of a...
What's the timing on it?
We're going to roll this out slowly, both for us and them, because they're a smaller operation, so they need to do it a unit at a time. So we're going to start with the jail, the old courthouse, then we'll probably move to like the sheriff's office and do some of those, and then get up in and probably do the clerk class, since she's the biggest, volume user that we have. So we'll do them just one at a time. That way, if we have any issues.
In the longer report, I saw it includes like the old library over here, correct?
Correct.
So, do we bill them for that phone service?
We do.
Okay.
What about 911? Why isn't it on there?
It is.
That phone is for the elevator and it's required to have one. All elevators have to have a phone.
We have 6 of those at the courthouse too,
Okay.
or 4 of them at the courthouse, 1 in Jeanette's office. 911 is included.
One in the library too, right?
Yeah, there's one.
The old library, not
Old
the new
library,
one.
yeah.
So we started this, when I set that committee up back, I guess it was last January, I don't know, January, February, so it's been ongoing. I've been fussing about it, pushing Jeff and Carol and Ron. Half the time I can't use the dang on phone, right? Can't transfer calls. They said it's my fault. But to give you an example, when I've got, let's say Madison, whoever's working over here, and she goes over and fills in over here, she can't even transfer her calls. They're just little simple things, so it's gonna have a whole lot better service. And I could put speed dial on Jeanette, Raymond, Brandon. So I don't have to look your number up no more. So it's gonna be a whole lot better service. But at the end of the day, I want to thank Brad Metcalf, Jeff Fleer, John Snow, Justin Hall for putting the time and effort on this and studying it. It has taken some time, but it's really going to be so much better. And then, of course, you look at the money. I know everybody's concerned about the money. you know, gonna save over $80,000 a year. That's just huge. Especially getting all new equipment, you know, and,
What's our phone system cost us now, Ron? Do you know?
it's on that top sheet.
8,000-9,000 a month.
9,100.
You see that front sheet, you
Yeah,
get cover
yeah.
sheet, $9,100 a month, and it's going to $2,300 a month roughly.
And actually, it's gonna be a little bit, the very last page, it's gonna be a little bit less than that. The way NEC sets up their accounts, we're tax exempt, of course, but they have to set up the account first. We'll do that initial billing, and then we'll send in our tax exempt paperwork, and they'll refund us that, and then take that off in all future bills. So it'll be actually maybe $100, $150 less than that. I'm just not, I wasn't sure of that number, so I didn't want to put that in there.
I need a motion.
Internet service that's feeding this, like, the jail's gonna be feeding 2 government buildings, so we're not having to pay internet at 3 locations, we're just paying it for 1, so.
We'll probably do the same thing at dispatch and feed the sheriff's office and the courthouse too.
So it'll cut that down. Our internet, what we're paying now, probably about half, if not more.
Well, it's gonna, that's why I say it's a wash, because we're gonna cut it down, but then moving to fiber is increasing other places, so
Yeah.
it's kind of, there's not really a lot of savings there, but we're getting, 5 times the internet service that we currently have, so, speed-wise. So the request would be, is if you look at the third of the page number 4, would be for the $24,000 one-time fee for the equipment setup and everything else, and then it'll have our ongoing fee of no more than $23.89. So that would be,
You've got that on this cover sheet, what I'm looking at.
yes,
Yeah,
it's
that's right.
third
Yeah.
or fourth page there.
It's got the full page, and I need if everybody's agreeable to this, I need a motion to approve this contract with basically, ISET. That's who the contract's gonna be with, Brad?
Yes, sir.
And he's gonna do anything under his side with NEC and all that,
Yes.
that's for him, so. Just.
Tim, I'll make a motion to accept the bid from ISET.
Got a motion from Jeff to accept this bid from ISET as presented,
I'll second.
and second by John. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank y'all for that. It's been a long ordeal, but it's gonna be great.
Yep.
Very good.
Judge, I'd like to thank Rhonda too. She's the only one who knew where all the lines were, where all the bills came from. She's very helpful to us.
Thank you, Rhonda. Jeanette, you got anything to report?
No report, other than if the media would help us remind all the people that the motor vehicle department is still down at the county clerk's office until January 9th.
It's already down now?
Today's the first day. yes.
Today's the first day, right? Yeah.
You can come by and say hi, but you can't transfer any vehicles.
Our recording department and elections office is still.
I can vouch that on the last day before they closed, they definitely earned their money.
Last 2 days, I was 26 in line one day down there. But it didn't take very long to go through though.
We're a good team.
Y'all
Did
did a
you
good job.
mandatory all your employees to take vacations the next 2 weeks?
No, they're working.
All righty. Sheriff's report, Raymond?
Judge, I appreciate everybody that came out the day after the last fiscal court meeting for the demonstration, Jim, Keith, and Jeanette. It means a lot that a local citizen came and spoke to fiscal court in reference to this, and Brad came a couple of days prior to that. So it means a lot that we're bringing something to the table, and people are impressed with it. Keith, even that day, he kept saying his pacemaker was getting ready to get activated. The reality of the training, and he did a fabulous job relating to the situation. Keith did.
Metcalf?
Yes, sir. He brought up his kids, his daughters. He's like, "You're one of my kids. I got daughters." So it was pretty interesting that a citizen was getting in touch, a person not trained to be in law enforcement, did a fabulous job on that.
Sometimes when your daughter's back talking to you, you want to push her off.
In that scenario, he did a great job, and it meant a lot that he took the time to come out and do the actual.
Yeah.
You could see it in his police officer too. His police officer's in a case scenario there. And after he did what he did, you could just see his body. I mean, he dropped probably 2 or 3 inches. He was that emotional, and it just dropped after he got the situation taken care of.
Yeah.
You could see it in his body. It was unreal. I was the same way though.
It brings your adrenaline up, and it touches the situation. So it meant a lot that you guys came out and actually took partaken in the training and the reality training. So thank you all.
Trail. We had a meeting at Lincoln Trail. Did you go with me? That's the same day you did it, I think.
I think that's where we were in E-Town.
Yeah, that's why we.
Second, I've talked to the judge about the vehicles. We have 2 vehicles waiting at Conway Heaton. There's 2 options. You guys approve the vehicles. He's gonna be talking with the mayor in reference of it. But there's 2 options. You guys either approve it on your budget, upcoming budget, and pay for them now, or loan the sheriff the money so we can get it, and then you guys would be repaid on my fiscal court, or my budget at the end of this year. So, that's about it.
How's the hand? How's the hand?
It's doing pretty good.
Good, okay.
Appreciate all the phone calls and everything. I'm very lucky, but at the end of the day, they're still attached, so.
All right, Raymond, I'll be getting with you, and we'll be discussing some of this.
So we can discuss the cars?
Not today. Thank you, Raymond.
Yes, sir.
Danielle, did you show up?
I did.
Coroner's report?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have most of the numbers for the year for you guys. This weekend was very busy for us. We had about 7 calls in 4 days, so that's kind of busy for us. We also had to jockey around with the funeral home for transportation, so Tim, I need to have a meeting with you to find out what our options are. I know I can go through CAECO if I need to, and we can do a rental for vehicles, but it's getting to where the time is now that we need to take care of things. And it's been a year, so the walrus says it's time. For the year, we had approximately 130 calls. There's 290 deaths approximately for the year. I'm still working out the numbers for this past weekend. When I get the totals, I'll go ahead and email to you guys. 21 overdoses. I'm waiting for one more toxicology report, and that one might also be an overdose. Several of those are from their prescription drugs, not from street drugs. And that is about it for me.
Will you be able to differentiate between the street
Yep.
drugs and those, and then when you get your final numbers done?
Yep. I have that on that spreadsheet that I have, so I'll have to show that to you sometime.
Danielle, I'll call you set a meeting whenever you can work it out.
Okay.
Go over everything. You know, our budget starts July 1st. And if we're gonna start looking at things, that's when we gotta. My main concern, and Ron, I think, is everything we've said it 1,000 times, we gotta make sure you had enough money to pay this landfill expansion without borrowing any money and paying any interest to it. And that's what our goal has been, and I think we're gonna achieve that. And thanks to everybody for watching what they're spending. So I'll meet with you and we'll discuss, and then, of course, there is some more grants coming down the pipeline too, and we'll talk to you about that too.
I had a quick question. So the 290 death, that's total Nelson County death or just the deaths that you
Total
worked?
Nelson County death, so that's with the senior homes, hospital, us.
So that's about a 0.5% death rate, which is probably pretty good for the
Right.
county. Okay.
Right, it's usually about 8%. But Nelson County's a lot of baby boomers, so those numbers are gonna start going up compared to what they used to be. You know, the older that we get, then those numbers will go up.
So the total was how much you said?
290.
290.
290, and what was it?
And that's
Prior
between
year?
I think it was 265 last
Okay.
year.
Our population's growing, so,
Right.
thank you. Anybody got any questions for Danielle? Thank you for that report. Chip McKay, you got a report, sir?
I have the report, but I do have the second reading of the code enforcement ordinance, which you all have passed on first reading. I believe Brad may have made a small change to this.
Yes, I have one just very small change. On page 8, number 19, we had a typographical error. Under dry chemical systems, except for hood ranges. In the first sentence there, it should say 1 to 30 pounds, $300. So I need to amend that between the words pounds and of agent.
What number you on?
19. On 19.
After the word agent, I need to insert the number $300. Jeanette, I'll get you a tiny copy of that. But it was-
Read us a sentence there if you don't mind.
It says dry chemical systems review fee except range hoods, 1 to 30 pounds of agent, $300, comma, over 30 pounds of agent, 50 cents per pound, in excess of 30 pounds. So it just sets a minimum of $300 like the rest, and then a per pound fee above. We just left that number out. Thanks to John Snow for reading through everything and finding that for us.
So that's the only change I understand has been made to this ordinance. Everything else is the same as what you all approved last time. This is, of course, just adjusting a lot of the fees and putting everything together into one ordinance.
Anybody got any discussion on this today?
So do you want to talk about the 1,000 square feet, or how you want to handle that?
It's up to you. Y'all can discuss it, and
Was that included in this report?
it was already there, we voted on it, then we changed it from 200 square feet. This is basically outbuildings, structures outside of your home. Let me make sure we're clear, everybody understands this.
What page is that on, Judge? 1,000 square foot.
But make sure that everybody knows that we're still gonna be inspecting new homes. And once you get a CO, that's what my recommendation is, once you get a CO, anything over 1,000 feet, the way it's written now, outbuildings, garages, barns, accessory structures and so on. This proposal shows it's up to 1,000 square feet. And then we will not be doing any more inspections. Brad, you correct me if I miss anything. We're not gonna be doing any more remodels inside of your home. We're not gonna be doing any more outbuildings that's less than 1,000 square feet. We're not gonna be doing any fences, any
Page
pools.
3, John.
Basically, we'll eliminate a bunch of things
Page 3,
that
line 26.
this court, I think, feels it's unnecessary that we have to do. We still will be doing home inspections, we still will be doing commercial inspections, we'll be doing industrial inspections, and what's the proper word for schools, institutional? Educational, there's another word they use. But anyway, we'll still be inspecting all that just as we have been, warehouses and so on. My goal is to eliminate all these local inspections on your individual properties. And after I've talked to John a little bit, I talked to Keith, I talked to all of you really. I didn't talk to MT because he's in Aruba. Couldn't get with him, but there was a little bit of questions about, do we go to 1,000 square feet? We take it out completely? We go less? You know, I don't think it's a deal breaker with me, but my personal opinion is now, after I got looking and talking to other people, is the complaints that I have gotten, a lot of it is, well, is it ag or is it not ag? You own 5 acres, is it ag? Well, if you don't have a goat in your barn, it's not ag. Then you sign an exemption form, then you gotta sign an affidavit.
But to be clear,
So that's
an
where-
agricultural is already exempt for an agricultural use.
Still got to get a permit, you just
Right.
don't have to pay for it.
You don't have to do the inspection, it's an
Inspection.
agricultural use.
But you still gotta check that box off affidavit and say this.
Saying
So
that
later on, I'm saying it's ag, it depends on who's the enforcement officer is, you cannot put a You cannot put your tractor
In a hay barn.
in your hay barn because that's not ag.
A tractor's not
is
ag?
I'm just telling you, I mean.
Now, your camper is different.
Right.
A camper or a
You can't
boat.
you can't put your own camper in your own barn.
Well, I think
Which
what
I
we're,
think's
what we're
still-
saying is that you should be honest about the use of the facility.
Right, but, okay, so I say I have a 40 by 100 hay structure. All right, well, I'm putting hay in it May, June, and July, and I'm taking hay out, but it may be 4 months sitting there empty. What's the big deal about me sticking a boat in it while it's
Why
empty?
can't you put a boat in your own barn?
Exactly.
Or your camper or anything
Or
else.
anything else.
Period. I mean, it's yours, you want us to store it inside.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets, I guess,
But there's nothing in this ordinance that says that.
what's in this ordinance is gonna say that we're not gonna inspect it, period.
We're not
But
gonna.
there's nothing in this ordinance that says you can't put your boat in your hay barn.
No, but it won't be inspected, so you can do whatever you desire, in my
Yeah, he's
opinion.
saying it could be inspected, and if there's a boat or a camper in it, then it's not an ag bill.
Okay. The inspection is at construction.
Mhm.
They're not coming back and inspecting to see
Well,
if
you
your
have to
boat's
sign
in
an
there.
affidavit, like Tim said, that you will not put
No,
A boat.
no, because the agricultural exemption just says you're gonna use it for agricultural purposes.
That's at the planning and zoning office, you get the planning
Right.
and zoning.
So if you're using it for
compliance
hay,
permit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
then you're using it for agricultural purposes. I don't think you're
But he's only
signing
using it
saying
4
you're not
months
gonna
a
park
year
your
for
boat
hay.
in there.
Or, 6 or 8 months, but
John, what he's getting at though is that when you do that initial permit, you sign an affidavit stating that you're only gonna use this building for agricultural purposes.
Right.
So then if I go back and next year, I'll start putting my boat, my camper and everything else in it, and then my neighbor turns me in planning and zoning, then by law, they could go back and say that, you.
Right, but I don't see anything in this that changes that. We're not doing away with the ag exemption for permitting,
No, but you're not doing, you won't have the inspection at all. so
but you
won't
still have to go get a permit
permit.
you still have to get a permit to build the building.
you gotta get a permit of planning, you gotta get.
So if you go to planning and zoning and you have to get a permit, you still have to say whether or not it's an ag use. So I don't see where we're affecting that with this.
Yeah, I don't
with this
disagree with you
ordinance.
on that, that's two different offices, but
Well-
that's something that we will be bringing back
No,
up.
I mean.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying and I get what you're saying about the 1,000 square feet. My thing with the 1,000 square feet is you are far more apt to use a building that is 1,000 square feet or more for other purposes than you are of just a garage or a storage unit. Does that make sense? Because I'm building a garage, 500 square feet, you said 700, okay, 700 square feet is plenty for a 2-car garage and your lawnmower or whatever you're gonna park in there. If you're building a 1,000 square foot building, there's a good chance that you're gonna use that for something other than a 2-car garage or a storage building. That was my only thing with not inspecting it.
Like what?
Well, so we had an issue earlier this year, or I guess last year now, with regard to somebody using a building that wasn't permitted for a venue, a wedding venue, for renting it out to allow people to have a wedding venue there. So if we don't inspect that, right, and they're renting it out, if they don't give us the legitimate use, which is up to them to do, they're supposed to do that. They're supposed to be honest about what they're using it for, but people who are renting that are assuming that that building got inspected for that purpose. Right, so I don't care if you had built a garage and it falls down on your car because it didn't get inspected. But I do care if you're renting it out for a wedding venue and it falls down on 100 people who assumed that that building got certified to hold people. Does that make sense? I don't want to get
I know
people
what you're saying,
hurt.
but I still think it goes back to the.
And it does go back to them being honest about what they're using
I don't
the
think
building
it's in
for.
this, that's not in here either, like you said about the farm.
No, but if we inspect 1,000 square foot or above, then we're far less likely to have not inspected one that's gonna be used for that. Is what I'm saying.
Maybe, I don't really agree with that, that's fine.
Okay.
Well, I think if it contains people, it still needs to go.
And it
back on.
should.
Well,
And even-
John,
and-
the moment that you accept money and transact for business, it changes the.
It does, and you're supposed to have a certificate of
That's when you
occupancy
should-
for that.
well, you should get-
And that's what I'm saying, it does depend on them to be honest about what it's being used
But
for.
your bathrooms, your lateral line, being sure it's properly got the right size joists underneath those. If you've got people, up there on the table, watching the wedding down below.
Right.
But all of that is on a black and white line though, that it crosses into a commercial purpose.
Right.
Once you start to rent it
It
out.
still don't affect this piece here though.
No.
I mean, if you get a conditional use permit, and once you do that, then you gotta go back.
Right,
you have to
you're
get
supposed to, yeah.
New ordinance standards or whatever you have to do to be in compliance.
I don't
It
disagree
don't have,
with that.
it don't have anything to do with this either.
No, but what I'm saying is if we leave the 1,000 square foot in there, we're less likely to not catch that building on an inspection.
I'm fine, it don't either way to me. You want to pass it just like we did last first reading?
Yes. I would leave, if it were up to me, I'd leave the 1,000 square foot.
Jeff, 1,000 feet?
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm more looking at, like, say, just a detached garage for a home, I'm not looking at it as these big outbuildings like I think a lot of people are. But, if you're gonna have something there on your home and it should be inspected. Because when someone buys it, they kind of assume that. But 1,000 foot, I can live with that.
All right. Everybody good with that? We're gonna pass it on second reading as is with that one change.
One change for $300.
Everybody good with that?
I'll make the motion that we pass the ordinance, the code enforcement ordinance on the second reading as it stands.
As correction.
With correction, okay?
Second.
Second, got a motion by John, second by Adam. Any more discussion? All in favor? Jeff?
Nah,
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
I'm voting for the motion.
Yeah, I got you. Chip, you good with that?
I am.
Is that all you have, sir?
Yes, sir.
Magistrate's reports. We'll start out with Jeff Lear.
Nothing to report, guys.
Thank you, Jeff, for all that work you did on that phone system.
A lot of help.
John?
I have nothing, sir.
Thank you for your help also, sir. Pete? Oh. Adam?
No, just wish everybody a Happy New Year. Be safe.
Thank you, sir. Keith?
Same thing. Happy New Year, Nelson County. Everyone have a safe, blessed year.
One thing I will, let's go to judge's report. Now, we're gonna be here for a few minutes, because I've got a lot of stuff to bring up on the mind, but I want to thank the magistrates and everybody for my first year, because I was sick there for a while, and the public and all my staff and everybody that supported me, the employees, and it's been a challenging year, but it's been a good year, 23, so I think this court's accomplished a lot, and once we get done with this other stuff we've been working on for about 6 months today, I think it'll help with a lot of other great projects in the county. So I just want to thank everybody publicly and acknowledge that. I'm going to break these down. I sent you all these reports that we've been talking about for some time. I'm going to break them down individually. Which I was not going to do, but I will do that way now, because there's a couple of these we have to tweak a little bit, talking to the county attorney. I had something else I wanted to bring up. So I want to start out with the we'll start out with the water. You'll get that in your sheet. Water. Let's back that up. Start out with street lights.
Street lights.
Brad, you get a copy of all this stuff. And then see it here. I'm sorry. Let me pass these out. Pass these out to the public and anybody out here.
Give me one for Jeanette.
I'll get everybody else. This is our.
I think that's all that we have.
Chip, you got yours?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think if you look down, it's this stuff here.
Austin, you mad? All right.
He said no, he's
Come on, Austin.
You got somewhere to be.
Jeanette, do you have one?
I've got-
I gave her one.
Keith, or,
That must mean the meeting's over, right?
We got a nose or this one, but this is a nerve. It's thicker.
I'll get his gavel.
I used this last one, that's the one Carol just brought out, so.
I think that has all this in it.
Okay.
Yeah, the one you got already had.
Yeah, that all this.
We thought you'd adjourned and didn't tell us.
All about it. What happened in
Go ahead.
Adair County,
Oh, I've seen that.
they blew up, and got in an argument, and took off. I don't even think they had a vote to adjourn. It was pretty bad.
Judge said he wasn't gonna sign something, and then that guy said, if you ain't gonna sign it, then I'll make a motion to adjourn. And then all the bastards got left.
So there was, just for the, I'm gonna make sure the media and everybody gets this, I've been working on water and internet, and you've heard me say it publicly, I think the water, we still have, quite a few citizens in the county that does not have water, where it's private roads or county roads or what have you. So, Brad Spalding's out here, and I wanna commend him for helping me get this report together, and John, and Brad Metcalf. We spent a lot of time on this thing, and I've changed it, went back and forth, and finally come down to what I think is it's gonna be a good process for the future of the county and the citizens and the fiscal court. It's just gonna, and save the county citizens a lot of money, and I'll get into all these. It's gonna take a little time here, but ain't nobody in no hurry today, are they? Jeff, you golfing today?
Not yet.
Not like that.
So start out with the streetlights. There's ARPA funding. Everybody knows what that is. What's it stand for? American Rescue
Recovery and Rescue Plan.
Plan. And we have two, Ron, you correct me if I'm wrong on this. We got $2,250,000 left in that fund.
Unallocated.
Unallocated left in that fund that we haven't earmarked for anything. And we've got, we actually got a year now, or less than a year, to allocate the funding, or we lose it. Then you got only another year left to spend it. So we got to make sure that because time you do anything, get bids and so on, it could take some time. So we got to be really careful with this. So we have, we started these streetlight program for intersections, state and county roads. Everybody sees how important I think that is. It's really life-saving. And as you get kids driving, and you see what, get older, and you can't see the road like Keith and them, and then where you're driving, and it saves, I think it saves a lot of lives personally, so.
And I think it also helps the law enforcement, 911, ambulance service. If you're driving down the road at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's pouring down raining, you can say, I see a street light up here, see if that's the road we need to be on.
So what happened, we passed this when I was a master back in the 90s, and we did 5 per year and so on, and as of today, there is 200, it's estimated. I've had Brad and Chris go out, we're gonna identify every street light, and Rhonda's gonna confirm them all, make sure we're getting paid the right amounts and so on, because there's a possibility we could be getting billed for maybe one that's out or whatever, but I think we got it in pretty good shape. So we think there's 278 locations, and it's hard to believe how many intersections are in the county. You just think about that. 278, and our annual cost just for the lighting is $72,000. That's today, that's ongoing, it's been going on for some time. We think there's 180 more intersections that does not have street lights. Now, some needs a pole. If we got electric there, Salt River just put the light up for minimum cost or no cost, and we just pay the electric bill. But if they need a pole there, and that's probably why some of these don't have them, because it costs more. and if you need, maybe 2 poles in some cases. We're estimating 134 of these locations out of the 180 that probably needs a pole. So I'm estimating around $40,000. And our new annual electric costs, we're estimating around $45,000. Some of them's a little higher or lower, depends on the light, type of light, and so on. So this is the first thing I'm proposing come out of the ARPA funds, that we will spend $40,000 toward the lighting program that we have in place today. And at the end of the day, that $45,000 the annual cost, just to show how we're paying for it, we're going to save $84,000 up here on this phone system, and that's how we're going to actually pay for it. So it's not costing the taxpayers any more money out of our budget and so on. Everybody understand that?
For clarification's sake.
Yes, sir.
Because I know we talked about it before. These are for lights at where county roads intersect state roads and where there's a major intersection of another county road and a county road, but it does not include subdivisions.
That's correct.
We want to be clear about that, because we have people calling in saying, I don't have one in Copperfield. The subdivision lights are not part of this program. It's for where two county roads intersect, 2 major county roads intersect, or a county road intersects with a state road.
State roads, county roads, state roads intercepts a state road. There's a lot of state roads that have them too, yes.
And to clarify a little bit more, not at the end of county roads, like you said, at the beginning,
Right.
where they intersect
Where they
the
come
road.
together.
Yeah. Because I've had several requests for the road, because it's so dark back the road.
What about Stonehouse and Losing Church? You got the beginning and it comes around the end.
Yeah.
Which one's the beginning, which one's the end?
Well, you have to flip a coin on that one.
But there may be a situation where if there's a really bad safety thing that they might call and
Right.
light, I don't know, something pops up, they give us authority to do it, basically. I guess I need a motion to accept this proposal as written. Chip, you looked at it, you good with that?
So
You
before
don't need an
the,
ordinance on this, it's just
No.
spending.
so before the lights are put up, like if it's in District 2, will I be notified, or I'll say, hey, or do you know of any other place, or?
Well, what I'll do, and Brad, we already started this, we'll get the list, and we've already got it broken down pretty much, where they're at, and we'll notify magistrates and anybody else, and if you see any more that we don't, I'll get you the list here probably in a couple of weeks. If you see any more roads that we don't have, because I'm not putting individual roads on this sheet, because we could miss some, and we'd be here all day talking about it. And if we exceed the $40,000, then I'll have to come back and ask you to spend, if we run out of money, we run out of money. Motion to accept this as presented.
I'll make that motion.
And Keith made the motion.
I'll
Basically,
second it.
any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Jeff? He said, yeah.
Correct.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all. That's it. I'm gonna go to the water next. I'm proposing to spend $1.5 million out of the ARPA funds for this project. And I've had tons of calls, many meetings with the water companies that provide water to different areas of the county. And we've kind of debated back and forth over the year. Y'all have heard me say the water, I think, is the most important thing in people's houses, even more so than electricity maybe, but private roads versus county roads. So what I'm proposing here is, as you see it. Now, we've got some identified, and I've got many calls from several of these people. So the first portion of this is $602,000 that we know that we've identified these people that need the water on public roads. It was $600 and what would that be, $81,000, and then one of the water companies is gonna put up $79,500, so we're down to $602,000 on public roads. I will be negotiating some more with them, maybe I can get even more. I kind of feel confident I can get a little bit more help on some of these county roads with the water companies, but this is the way I'm gonna present it today. You go down to it says fully funded, you see the top. At the next page, number 2, next column is the partially funding existing private roads, water lines. And as you go down through there, you see that. I have talked to many of them and agreed to pay $5,000 before they can get the water to their property. They have to come up with $5,000 because this is on private roads. And there is going to be many of them, I feel like they still can't do it. A lot of people can't come up with $5,000. So we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there.
Have you got anything in place, Judge, in case they can't? Say if it's going down mine and Adam's road, and Adam says, no, I don't want it. And then Keith says, I do want it. And then a year later, Adam says, I do want it.
Still pay the $5.
Still pay the $5?
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, it says 10-year contract,
Okay.
number F, it says 10-year future contract, reimbursement to the county or the utility company.
Okay.
Because that will happen. There'll be people.
Oh, yeah.
There'll be
Yeah,
people.
so if anybody wants to get on it and hold off for a year or two, then get on it and try to
But they still pay.
take advantage of us. You know, we've got a 10-year deal there that it's not gonna be perfect, but they may go 10 years in one day. But it's, I think it's, you know, we've studied this thing and studied it, and so we've identified for sure these 3. And I know there's gonna be more, and as we get more funding, Brad and I have talked about it, and Jeff, and talked to the governor's office, and even in this state budget coming up, starting, I guess they start session today, you don't think? Tomorrow.
Today?
That we'll be approaching the state for additional funds for several things, and I'm gonna approach them for some of this too. We may or may not get it, but, so if you can see those ones we've identified, the county's portion will be $538,000. And if you look at the very bottom, number 3, when ARPA funds are exhausted, any future water projects will be funded either by new grants or other funds that will have to be approved by Nelson County Fiscal Court.
I think it's also important for the public that we just clarify that a private road versus a private driveway is a different
Yes.
entity.
It'll not be going, we'll go to the private road, if your drive comes off, that's where we stop. We're not gonna provide. When I get into the internet, I'll talk about that a little bit further, because there is some different things on these grants. It's been a lot of work, I'm telling you, a lot of work, a lot of meetings, a lot of phone calls, and then Brad Spalding has put a ton of work into this thing for me and helping me, and the water companies, all the water companies in the county have been very helpful with this.
Well, and I know it's a separate issue, and we're gonna talk about it in a minute, but since I've voiced opposition to running water back to private roads in the past, one of the reasons that I'm withdrawing that opposition today with regard to this is because we're proposing to fix that going forward in the new ordinance with regard to having the developers run the water lines, and we're gonna talk about that when we talk about that ordinance, but I just wanted to make that clear that not only are we want to get people water, but we want to make sure that we don't find ourselves back in this position again 10 years from now. Not us necessarily, but
Yes.
the court.
That's correct. I'm glad you made that statement. I need a motion to approve this water plan as presented.
I'll move that we approve the water plan as presented.
I got a motion by John,
Second.
second by Adam. Any more discussion? All
Yeah, Judge, I know that MT has a little bit of a heartache with this, not because of the plan itself, but because he has not been presented yet. So just want to note that for him, and that he broke up a little bit on the private road discussion. And I am in favor of it if it is all paid through grant money. I don't think any of the general fund should be used to put water on private road.
Right, and that's the way it's listed, Jeff, if you didn't hear. I don't know if you've got that in front of you or not, but anyway, that's the way we got it listed. We did have, just to let the public know, at one time, we did have some general fund money going into this, that we backed it out, because we do think, if we run over and/or have more that's approach us, and I feel like we will, that we'll use the future grant money that we get for that. And if the court decides to use any funds to, if you run over budget, it could be a minimum, maybe the court will come back and decide they will do it. That'd be at y'all's discretion. Thank you, Jeff.
So since he did bring up another question, are we sure that the timeline is gonna allow enough time to complete these for the requirements of the money?
Well, it gives us right at 2 years to it gives us a year actually to confirm the use of it, Ronnie, and then we
We
got.
have to have all the contracts in place by December 31st of this year, the 24th.
Right.
We have until December 31 of 26 to fully spend all of the funds.
So you got 24, 25.
That gives us
But there's some pretty big projects here. We're sure that we can get them done in that
Well, I'm
time.
not, I can't guarantee that. We're gonna have to take a bid.
I'm not saying guarantee, but I'm just saying we're.
Yeah,
we're
we feel confident once we get them, because they got to order the supplies and everything, and,
That's just something we have to make clear to the people that are bidding it, that it has to be
Yeah.
completed and paid for by
Yeah.
next day.
And I'm sure there's gonna be some obstacles we don't see, but I had a motion from somebody,
Motion, second.
from John and
Second.
Adam, in discussion.
Yeah.
Jeff, you good with that?
Yes.
Your answer? All in favor?
None.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank y'all for that. I'll tell you what, there's gonna be so many happy people. I hope my phone quits ringing. I swear.
It's not gonna ring.
Well, I mean, it's a good,
It is ringing.
it's some good calls. I mean,
Yeah, a new problem popped up too.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna send them to the district down at the south. Thank y'all for that. That's really means a lot to me and the people that need that water.
Where on the next?
I'm gonna go to the, internet first. Jeff, you clear on this?
You're gonna go to the internet now, I'm gonna step away.
Yeah.
I'll text you when we're back.
Sounds good.
He'll text you when you're back, you step away. Thank you. Jeff, anything else you wanna say?
So just make it clear, he's recusing himself.
He's recused himself because he has a
This discussion.
conflict of interest when it comes to internet. And just to let the general public and the media know, when I proposed all this stuff and I met with the magistrates, Lear was not even involved in the discussion of this from the get-go. He backed out immediately. So there's no conflict with him. He made it clear. It wasn't my suggestion, it was his suggestion. So even getting to this level, not even voting on, he did not help on this at all. All right, so the ARPA funds, again, it's 250,000, and I'm proposing to spend 500,000 on internet. You've heard Brad Spalding talk about pockets and places that does not have the internet. As you can see on the top part, the city of Barstown, COB, is, they've always, previously, their match has been $1,400 per customer if it's in their district. So if you go to the second page of that, 431,000, if you, and I may be rounding off here, if you round off these numbers, that'll get us back to 350,000 after the city of Barstown contributes some money to their customers. So that's the top piece. The second piece is what we thinking as people building new homes based on what the city of Barstown tells us and elsewhere, that it's on county roads. Both of these are on county roads. So number two is say John Snow's building a house on Woodline Road and there's a 0.2 of a mile that the internet, the cable or the fiber's not big enough, then the city or whoever the carrier is, in this case would be the city, they would have to come in and upgrade that line and basically build these, what they call them, nodes, anodes, or it's a node. I think it's a proper word, John, what do they call them?
Yeah. Node, yeah.
A node, to build them in service. We're still not going down any driveways, it just gets the service to front of their driveway. So we're estimating $150,000 there. It may get us by for a year or two until we get them. We don't know how many exactly. You go to page 3. This is the Spectrum service area that we think may not have internet. We don't know 100% sure because city doesn't service them. Spectrum's not 100% sure. The city may be able to pull some of these. We'll try to incorporate these in with the other internet that the Spectrum's doing. I'll get to that here in a minute on this next page. You go on down existing private roads. The county will pay you up to $2,000 to help build internet down a private road, okay?
That's per private road.
Just per the road. And the customer and or the carrier will have to pay the balance. The county's out only up $2,000. So you might be 3 customers there, maybe 5, whatever's on that private road. That's up to them to work out the deal to come up with the remaining money. Then you still got the 10-year contract. If Keith's gonna put it down his road, private road, and he pays $2,000 extra, and the next guy, it's the same deal with the water. They have to come back and reimburse either the county or the utility company. Number 4, same thing. When these funds are exhausted, any future projects will have to be done by new grants and or other funds approved by the Nelson County Fiscal Court. Pretty much the same concept as the water. We think when we get this done, the build, there will be about 97, 98, 99% of the whole county will have internet at that time. And so I need a motion to approve this project as presented.
1 second. So for clarification's sake, because there'll be some questions about some of the people that we already have some contracts in place for builds that have not been completed yet. These do not affect that. For instance, we've discussed Holt Ridge Road, Murphy Lane, a couple other places that are still waiting to get internet. We've already allocated that money for those. They're already in contract. We're just waiting on that. Some other areas of the county as well are waiting on builds to be completed. These are just roads that have not already gotten contracts for building out the internet on them.
That's correct. That is actually correct.
So I'm gonna get phone calls on that later if I don't clarify that.
Yeah, let's go back to what you said earlier, John, about the water. Is the developers on that, what we're gonna do on the subdivision deal, are they gonna have to have internet in that too? Or just water and electric?
Water, electric, and internet.
And internet, okay. So this is basically gonna do what you said in this next
So we
thing?
won't run into this 5-10 years from now again.
Right, okay.
Yeah, well, I probably won't be around in 10 years. Keith will be. He's a lifer.
No.
Any more questions on this?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion from Adam to approve this internet funding as presented.
I'll second.
Second by Keith. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank y'all for that. That's another big deal that's been going on and on for a long
It's only
time.
January 2nd and we're solving lots of problems. What are we gonna do the rest of the year?
I'll tell you that.
They'll come.
This is some of the really very important stuff we're doing here today, and I want to make sure that I appreciate everybody working on that. So let's go to the,
You wanna do the 200, the motion on the 200,000 since it goes along with that?
yeah, where's that at?
Yeah.
Here it is right here. So this has got, you didn't bring him back on yet.
I did.
He's on.
Take him back off.
Well, he was around when we did that.
Can you take him out, Justin?
Yeah.
Hang on a minute, Jeff, we're gonna take you back out a second. All right. You're good.
Is he out?
Yeah.
So let's go to, it says memo on top. And I signed an agreement, basically a preliminary agreement with Charter, probably 7-8 months ago. It was back probably in February, I don't know when it was. But anyway, agreeing with them so they could apply for the grant, that we would appropriate $200,000 out of the ARPA funds to help secure that grant. And of course, with the agreement with them, that they know the fiscal court would have to prove that, okay? So that's what, since then, we've received the grant, Charter, I guess you'd say Charter's received the grant. And if you look behind that, all these pages, this is how many people this is gonna serve. It's a lot of people, and the majority of these are down in the Keys District. And then you get in with Southern Telecommunications on the very back page, they got a grant also, which is $200,000 is not part of that. So there's a lot of customers here that this is gonna take care of. I mean, it's a bunch. And we've been working on this way back. We worked with the Charter and ARPA, Charter and them working on this deal, and this, there was another, two more carriers down there that didn't get awarded anything.
Well, they didn't get on that round. They had some were different.
No, this was the one where it was contested.
Oh, okay.
They were kicked out because.
They were trying to figure out who was gonna service what area.
Correct.
Yeah.
So just so I've got my math right, the 200,000 from the county plus the 1.3 ARPA funds is 1.5 million, but it's 2.5 million. Where's the other million?
So they got, the total cost of the project's 2.5 million.
2.5.
And then to get that grant, the state or ARPA comes to the feds, $1,308,889. Fiscal court's gonna put 200,000 with that, which brings it to 1.5.
So they're $1 million short.
And then the Charter is funding the rest of it.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So they're coming up
The
to the-
carrier is, yeah, they couldn't get 100%. There was some that did pretty much get 100%, but not in this case.
And this 200,000 was already allocated out of the ARPA funds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before we started doing all this.
It's not in the 2,250,000. Actually, we have 2,450,000 if you want to really look at it that way.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't put it because it was already allocated or promised.
We
I guess you'd say.
anticipated that.
So I need a
I'll make that
motion to approve this as presented.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Keith, second by John. Any more discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank y'all for that. That's another big one we've been working on. That's, and Jim, you and, well, the media here, y'all got that packets of info that y'all can take pictures of and put Keith and John them some pictures all over it, make sure they get the credit for it.
Yeah. Get a shot at.
Since I got all that done, I'm not gonna do any of the rest of this stuff. Yeah, what? So, these next three pieces, I had to talk to Chip about this. These will have to be done in an ordinance form. I want to discuss them today and make sure everybody's in agreement. Then we'll come back with the ordinance side of it to make it in an ordinance. Chip, you want to clarify what I'm saying?
Well, this involves a zoning ordinance, so it may have to be sent to them for consideration and then brought up to us for final consideration. I didn't know about this until today, so I don't really have all the answers, but this definitely has to be done in the ordinance.
So it would it would be like an amendment to an existing
Yes.
zoning ordinance?
Yes, you're amending the existing zoning ordinance with these plan unit development standards, the residential road standards.
Because we already have them, we just need to
Yes.
adjust them. if we
Correct.
want to be-
Yeah, we have existing standards here and we're changing them.
Now, can't we do that as fiscal court?
Well, we can, but I need the time to look.
What he's saying is he just got it today, he doesn't have an opinion about that yet.
Correct.
Well, he knows, we've been talking about it, but there is some, in Nelson County, I don't know if it's state law, when you pass subdivision regulations, it has to start out at the planning and zoning side and comes back through the fiscal court. Historically, I guess it can start either way, it's more of a coordination effort to make
Like
sure
last
everybody's
year,
on the
they
same
had
page.
the PED, who all did the warehouses, had to go to the zoning, planning and zoning commission for a hearing, and then they sent it back up, and then you all voted on it. But I just want to make sure we don't do that here.
Yeah. What I want to make sure is we agree on this, and then I'll send it to them and make sure that they're all on the same page. And then some of these, well, we'll get into that later. There's some zoning, well, there's many of them ordinances and language that, that we've talked about cleaning up anyway. And I think, and I know we will. So I'm gonna start out, let everybody know that up front, but I wanna make sure everybody's in agreement with this. Jeff, back on?
Yep.
I'm gonna start out to, well, that there's a lot more. Yeah, they're all, got a lot of details.
Which one?
Picking to start at the ag plan unit development standards. This is already in place. It hadn't been used in the county very much through the planning and zoning, ag developments. You have to build a county road, and it gives you, and the farmers and whoever wants to sell, developers and homeowners, I think an opportunity to buy land a little bit cheaper than a traditional subdivision. You could put some individual 1 acre tracts, you read them through there. And then if you have 100 acres or 1,000 acres, it's a 5 acre deal is how you gotta come up with that example, as you can see there. But you can come up with 21 acre tracts would be 20 acres, and say if it's 100 acre development, the next 80 acres you can sell off in 2 40 acre tracts, as an example. And I won't get into all those details because it gets a little bit confusing here, but this is already in place. It hadn't been used, and I'm bringing it up today because I'm hoping and going to be pushing in the future that I hope more developers use this concept, because I think it's a very good plan that hadn't been used a lot, and I think a lot of people maybe don't even really know about it as such. But if you look at the standards at the top, it kind of matches our county, it does match our residential standards here. That's the reason we've matched it. And you can see the specs that has to be put in. Basically like a county road. John, you correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, because I know you and Brad is a little bit more involved on this side, on the inspection side. Minimum 1 acres. And as I put at the bottom, the agricultural plan unit developments must follow all other subdivision standards and regulations as not listed in this document. Now, I can get that cleaned up when Chip does this ordinance. I can add all this stuff that's in here to this if we so desire. Everybody good with that?
Didn't one thing change here, that it does have to be proof road by Nelson County Road Department?
It's at the top.
Yeah, but that was that always in this, or we added that?
No, that was always the case with this.
This
Well,
one
this
is,
was, they're building a county road, so they gotta do all those standards that they've always had. They have to be proof road, density testing,
Okay.
bleeders, they have that already because it's a county road.
I don't know if any of these have been built anywhere, do you? In the county, that I'm aware of, but
I'm sure there has been.
it's a good tool, I think. And you get, especially get in the rural areas where you can't get zoned, and the farmer may need to sell some land for some capital, or has some death or illness or sickness in his family, he needs them, he don't want to sell his whole farm, he might be able to do that, and you got some people that want to live out in the rural areas that you can't get zoned as a traditional subdivision, so I think it's a really good tool, and I think we need to push it harder, and I think it will be. So I don't really want to, we can't vote on this, but I just want a consensus. Is everybody in favor of this? Anybody opposed to it, so we'll know how to move forward. Jeff?
I'm good.
John? Keith?
I'm good.
Adam? Thank you, sir. Chip? I'll get back with you how we want to propose.
That road would have to have a cul-de-sac in the end regardless, is that right?
Break it down to eeny meeny. Which one you picking now?
There's a little bit, let's go to the private road standard. If you look to the left, that's what we have today. Look to the right, that's what we're proposing. And like John had said earlier, and Keith had said earlier, and I've said it 1,000 times, is we want to make sure that we stop the needs and the people that needs in the future, because as of today, when you build a private road, you don't put water, you don't put internet back in, you do put electric in most cases, because the overhead electric. We ran into a case where we had again, we've been working on this for about, I don't know, 5-6 months. Brad Spalding has got a manual this thick. I had him go to every county around us, probably about 10 counties, I don't know, that we've got all the data from them and what they're doing and not doing, and it's, so we try to use, instead of reinventing the wheel, to make it better for this community. And as people buy those private tracts, they won't be called in fiscal court like we did here earlier about wanting internet, wanting water, and asking the fiscal court to come up with the money or the funding to do it. So if we move forward with this process, we're trying to fix what we did earlier. We're going to try to get everybody internet, water, from this day backwards through grants and whatever we're doing, and then from this day forward, anything that gets built new, it would be provided by the developers and the fiscal court. And
Developer or homeowner?
Or homeowners, yes. That's the intent of this. So I've looked at this thing a million times and studied it, and I went from 10 to 12. I don't know what the magic number is. I did meet with several builders and developers about all this too, and it's, I got pretty good support, I guess, all over the board. It's back and forth. John, you was there, weren't you? I got feedback from a lot of them, and we was talking about making 10 lots at one time, and John was talking about, well, that's too much because you got the garbage. People's got to get the garbage at the end of the road. So what I propose and our committee and then the master's preliminary, right now you can build 3 tracks on a private road, period. If you got road frontage on a county or state road, then you can use those 2, and actually you would have 5. That's today's standards. What I'm proposing is to allow them to get 2 more that would help offset their expense of putting this water and internet in. That's the reason I come up with that. So it won't kill the deal, and at the end of the day, the developer and or the farmer, whoever selling the land, they have to, they put a lot of expense up, and they take a gamble and a risk, and it takes a lot of capital to do this. So I wanted to be fair with everybody, and if they can sell 2 more tracks, I think they'll generate enough profit that it allows them to put that internet and water in, and it won't cost them any extra money based on their land costs and, supply and demand that will come in play. So if you look at this, the reason we went to 18 foot is, and we've done this in the past, I don't know if recently, there is another set of guidelines that if you live on a private road and you want the county to take it over in the future, and you end up coming up some money, or you inherit some money, or you've got enough money to blacktop it, you don't want to maintain it. Well, if it's 14 foot and 4 inches of dense grade, that's all you really got to do today. That's pretty much it. You can build it over sod, you can build it over topsoil, and it never hold up. So we come back over, take it over, and then you got the ditches too close, and then they got to go through and spend lots of extra money to make it a county road. And really, then you don't have no oversight on the subgrade, you don't have no oversight on the culvert sizes. I can take you some right now that where they put some pipes in and just, it's inadequate. And I get complaints about it. The reason why I want to fix that is go to the proposed standards. We'll go to 18 foot, which is generally, these are 1,000 foot or less anyway. If you go back to the next, well, I'll get into that. We do, if you got less than 1,000 feet on a residential road, that's a county road, it's 18 foot, and I'll get into that in the next page. So it matches that. 4 inches of dense grade. We got to put bleeders in, and just to explain to people what a bleeder is I'm building a road like that, and I'm cutting it out, I put rock in it, and then it holds and traps the water with the shoulders. And then you come in the shoulders and you actually cut some little small ditches and put gravel in, and they let water go out. We do that on regular subdivisions now, but we're not doing enough of them. And that's the big failure on subdivision roads, is why if they do fail, that's probably the number one reason, is because of water getting trapped. So the subgrade, we're gonna put bleeders on 50 foot on each side, every 50 foot apart, and it will be proof road. And subgrade undercut like it should be and approved by the Nelson County Road Department. And the culvert sizes will be engineered. Private engineer will engineer them, and then of course our engineer will have to approve it, making sure that they don't have any flooding or water running over the roads and tearing up the roads. So basically you see the same thing down through there. We did change it up to 100 feet instead of 200 feet on the road frontage. Hopefully to allow them to get up to 7 if they can get it. And as you go on down through the bottom, it tells you basically they have to have a letter of credit. It's got to be built. If they auction it off and it's sold to an existing farmer, you basically just go back to the plat and what's the word, John?
Consolidation plat.
Consolidation plat. That if somebody don't want it built and a farmer or 2 or 3 farmers buy it all together, they can just take it all apart and still keep it as farm ground. So we don't want to burden any adjoining people. You got a letter of credit about like the county roads, and then mandatory they have to put a 4-inch water line in, electric and internet. And that will be at the time of the private road of construction, and you read on down through here, if you need any time extended, you can come back with the county engineer and county judge, sign off on that. And as you go on down through there, you have to have an easement for utilities. Electric and internet can be above or underground, based on what the developer decides to do. Health department has to approve the sewage system, which they do now. And the final approval will have to be required by the Nelson County judge and or the county engineer, whoever's in office at that time. They both have to sign off on it. Again, some of that may be tweaked when we get to planning zoning on some of this with CHIP and making sure that it matches everything we're doing with them. We've talked about this quite a bit. And my main reason for doing this is from this day forward, once it gets approved, that everybody that lives on these properties will have internet, water, and electric. They will be coming to the fiscal court and asking for us to fund things that could or should have been done previously.
And hopefully we won't be accepting private roads as county roads that are substandard.
That's correct. Consensus, Jeff?
Yeah.
John? Yep. Keith?
Yes.
Adam? Good. Thank y'all for that. It's another one that we put a lot of time in. Residential road standards. The top one there, it says 1,000 feet. You can, that's a stub street basically. If it's got, that would be probably 8 to 10 houses, maybe on the little stub street. Right now it's 20 foot, you go down 18 feet. The next one is a traditional subdivision street. Today's standards are 22 feet. I'm proposing to go to 20 feet. And some people will ask why. And then you go on down the thickness. John, I'm going to ask you to confirm this here in a minute. Brad's not here. So if you go on down there, 7 inches of dense grade, 3 inches of base, 1.25 inches of asphalt surface, bleeders every 50 feet instead of 100 feet, engineer plans as they are today, Nelson County Road oversight, final asphalt placement will be done in 3 years, or that needs to be changed. It says 3 years or. Take that in hand and without. I don't know where I get that. That was an old one we started out with. Blame that on Carol. She's not in here. Right now it says 50% on the left side. They don't say it on here. The reason why I think that's inadequate is if all 5 of us go down there and buy a lot on a subdivision street, and the supply and demand, I mean, it's up to the developer to make sure he's got his plan right. You may be on the street for 10 years and don't have the final overlay, and then you have a lot of construction debris and mud and dirt, and the county hasn't officially taken the road over it. You could be there 7, 8, 10 years before it gets that final inch in county road. The reason why the 50% in there is because if you got all these trucks going up and down, and you want to make sure if there's any failures in it, you can fix them before you put that final inch on it, or 1.5 inches on it. So that's a good thing, but I put 3 years or 50% of the housing, just for that reason I said earlier. The big thing here is we're gonna save the county developer, and I'll show you that on the back side. What I wanna do is we're gonna take the next inch and a half that we would have to be, put on that road in about 12 to 15 years and put it in the escrow account, specifically restricted for that road whenever it needs the blacktop in 12 to 15 years, and then the county taxpayers and the state and whoever, we don't ever have the funds to adequately do them in a timely fashion. So we're gonna hold this money in a restricted account based on whenever you take the road over. If it's $96 a ton, that's what it'll be, and then we'll put it in a interest growing account. That in 10, 15 years, and hopefully it'll be at the rate of inflation.
So at that point, it won't come out of the district's blacktop money?
That's correct.
Okay.
And that money to go into escrow is provided by the developer?
It's provided by the developer, and I'll show you where he's gonna save it at on the backside. Let's go to page 2.
Now, right now, Judge, is planning and zoning, the restrictions they got on the width of the road, didn't fiscal court set those years ago?
Court set them, back when I was a master in '96, we went from 26 to 22, and I couldn't get the boats to go to 20 at the time. It saved the county a lot of money. You can look at this next page, but there's still subdivision standards. Subdivision standards has to go through planning and zoning.
Yeah, but still can't that be tweaked? If
Well,
it ain't being
yeah.
eroded, it ain't being contained.
I think it can be tweaked out there. We have to change our total ordinances to do that.
Right, right.
I don't really know why, not to be critical, why the planning and zoning don't have anything to do with what we gotta do to make sure maintain the road anyway.
Oh, I didn't see where it would have anything.
And I don't know what the need would be for, but it's there today. It's something we have to address, the same way. So you go to page 2. Majority of the county roads are less than 20 feet. We have 611 total paved county roads, 91 that are 26 foot wide. That was done years ago. We've got 350 total miles and 25 miles as you're going down through there. At today's prices, me and Brad and John went through this. If we blacktopped every county road, subdivisions included, it would take $25 million, which would mean we'd only get every road in this county blacktopped once every 25 years. That's just inadequate.
Based on what we currently spend on paving?
That's correct.
Current asphalt pricing.
And that's what we get from the state. And if we're lucky to get some more rural funds, or then you get the state, then we take our occupational tax. Rhonda, I think most of that goes to the blacktop fund.
Yeah, 600,000.
And then you take what the state gives us to the gas tax and all that. So end of the day, it's about $1 million a year is what we get. And based on today's cost, you'd have your road blacktop once every 25 years. Well, that's just unacceptable, and that's inadequate. I mean, you just can't do it. I mean, you'd be running over about like an old railroad bed.
Well, didn't the law go into effect yesterday that electric cars have to pay a certain amount now?
I think it did.
Yeah.
60 or $120 depending on.
Yeah, $100, $125 per car.
The state,
But that's better than what we had.
the state doesn't want to raise any gas taxes, and I don't want to raise any taxes, but the state's going to have to do something with the formula a little bit better because there's just not enough money to go around on the blacktop. So if you look at this, we've saved about $600,000 in the last 26 years, but I went from 26 to 22 foot. That's how much we've saved in blacktop cost for about 26, 7, 8 years. And then you go down to the next paragraph. If we went to 20 foot, it would have been another $300,000. The total would have saved $900,000. So I'm just going to put that out there. As you go down the road width comparisons, and John did this, that's all the road width comparisons, not all the roads, but that's the majority, just an example to use. And most of our state and county roads are actually less than 20 foot. Okay? Next page. We've got an analysis. Analysis. Brad and John and myself, we went through this, and I've tweaked it a little bit, trying to understand it. This is another example sheet. I'm gonna pick on, Hidden Oaks, second one. Based on my proposal, we're going from 22 to 20 foot in our analysis on the gravel and everything. Column 1, over to your right, I'm gonna pick on Hidden Oaks. It's gonna save $95,000.
26, right?
Yeah, $96,000. What I'm proposing here to do is, in 3 years, when we make that an official county road and take it into our system, that's when the developer has to put the final inch on. Whatever that cost is of that 5 inch or inch and a half, whatever it is, that day, they're gonna write another check to the fiscal court. Gonna put it in a restricted fund, so Rhonda can take care of it, keep up with all that headaches, and make sure that money will be used to repave that road 12 to 15 years. That's the example I had on the front page.
Can you talk this over with most developers, Judge?
I've talked to a bunch of them about it. Some of them like it, some of them don't. But,
So would you say it was a 50-50?
well, here's, if you look to the right, the developer's actually saving $15,000 in that, on that particular subdivision. So it's gonna save the county, in reality, $80,000 to use to repave that road in 12 to 15 years. And it's gonna save the developer about $16,000. Actually, will either go in his pocket, he can lower the lot prices somewhat, or he can maybe do some, extra beautifications of the subdivision, but it's technically saving both sides. Because we went down from 22 to 20, and we changed a little bit of our standards. And John, I want you to explain to me on the engineering side, letting everybody know, based on the engineering graphs and all the details y'all use, it's gonna actually be a standard of the road is gonna be stronger than it is today.
So if you look at the CVR, which is your California bearing ratio, and that was, we picked one that was used for Corners Crossing, that design of the 7-inch base, 7-inch DGA, 3-inch base, and 1.25 inch asphalt, that should last 12 years. And then that's why you take this money that you save on it right now, and you repave it in 12 to 15 years, whatever. So then you'll beat that up again. And that helps out with your surface cracking, repairs, all that stuff too. So it should help out at the end of the day.
So, in reality, if you think about it, we're gonna take this road over in 3 years, and it's gonna have a new road, blacktop, to say if it lasts 12, 15 years, say if it lasts 15 years, and then the county's gonna go back and do it, you're gonna have a road that's not gonna have to be repaved for 30 years. Or maybe 25 to 30 years, whereas today, you can't do that. We're putting it all down here underneath, and we're pulling this money and saving it. So I think it's a win-win for the fiscal court as far as using money, and the public as far as we can then use money that we would have to use on that road, on Stonehouse Road or wherever. It gives you more flexibility with your funds because they're so dang on tight.
Well, let's just say that road don't need to be blacktopped in 12 to 15 years.
Yeah.
Then what happens to that $80,000 that Rhonda's got in that account?
It's still.
Just stays there until it does
Oh,
need
in
it?
case we do it 3 years later or 4
It
years
says
later.
when
right?
needed, yeah.
Yeah.
It may, that'll have to be up to the fiscal court to decide, maybe 10 years. Say if you got a road that just didn't last.
Well, I've got a subdivision in my district, and I've been magistrate 13 years, and I have not repaved it.
Yeah.
It still holds up pretty decent.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah.
We just put an estimation, 12 to 15 years, maybe 20 years.
Right.
Let me give you a good example. I know you like this. Brad always did. Have you heard me say this one?
Probably, but go ahead.
Stonehouse Flats was built in 1994 or 5, maybe some in 96. You know where that's at?
Yeah.
On Stonehouse Road. That road was not repaved until about 3 years ago. So what would it make it? How many years?
25, 20,
Well, it was
23.
almost 30. 96,
24 years. 24 years.
24 years. 24 years. You know who built that road?
You did.
Hello. But that's a good example. It didn't need it, so it would stay in that escrow account.
Right.
And then, so, and I can bring up a few more. Miller Springs is another one. It was almost 20 years before they repaved, not all of them yet, still, just 2 or 3 streets. But it goes back to the standards, the proctors, and making sure you got your subgrade built right and your
And the
drainage.
developers, you know, you have to give them credit too, because
Yeah.
back when I poured concrete, some subdivisions, I'd have to lower my yardage on the concrete trucks just to protect their road. I mean, you know, they had like 6-yard standards.
Yeah.
I mean, I needed 27 yards, but I had to bring it in there 6 yards at a time, which cost me extra money, but it saved the developer and it protected the road for the people that's living there today, so. You know, in your case, you probably protected that road, you kept it, you knew where the ditches needed to be. And so does a lot of other developers, you know.
And it says basically the better drainage, this is where the savings, the engineer or whoever's inspecting these roads, some of the developers may get a little bit offended because you go in and make them hold up on, you got to underfill a bit more, or, you know.
Right.
But that's the protection of that road for damn sure. I mean, that's evident, and proof rolling is evident, so. Basically, I mean, y'all have seen it all. This is another one, man, we went through tons and tons and tons of detail to get to this point. And I got the engineers on top of it too, making sure that I wasn't doing anything wrong, that we weren't building anything inadequate, so it's gonna save the taxpayers a lot of money in the future if we adopt all these, so. The residential road standards, Jeff, what do you think?
I'm good with it, but I want to make clear, this sounds like we're voting on this, it feels like that. I am good with the consideration of the ordinance. That's what I am good with.
John?
Same.
Adam? Keith?
Same.
All right, I just want to make sure we got that. I just want to make sure everybody's, it's kind of like a working session when it comes to this portion of it for everybody, for the public, of what we're proposing, and I'll get this back to y'all, and I'll send it over to planning and zoning and let Jim just hand deliver it.
I'm gonna keep my old copies, be sure you didn't change that.
Keep them all. I think that's all I've got. Brad, am I missing anything?
No, sir.
Motion to adjourn
Motion to adjourn.
by Adam,
Second.
second by Keith, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.